I'm deeply, genuinely entertained by
Yes.
all this. I'm also really frightened by it.
Yeah, it's concerning.
It's incredibly concerning that these two men, who are incredibly the most powerful two men in the world, probably among them,
Really?
are so emotionally unstable, have so much potential blackmail over each other, are so distracted.
Hello and welcome to the Bulwark Podcast. I'm your host, Tim Miller. We are coming at you live from D.C. Because we have our fundraiser tonight, Free Andre, which is now sold out at the Lincoln Theater, but we have a rally beforehand over at the Supreme Court at 5 o'clock. So hope to see some of y'all there. I am delighted to be here with my buddy, Sam Stein, managing editor of the Bulwark. And what a great day for us to be together for this. Lots of stuff happening. The only thing that sucks is the worst time for news to happen for me for this podcast is the early afternoon, because we tape it late morning and then it goes out in the afternoon. Okay. I finish taping and then the messiest divorce in history happens.
I know.
So that was almost sad, but guess what? We get to go through it minute by minute together. But before we do, obviously, we got to start with the big news of the day, and so I want to go to a quick clip, and we'll get to the lead story before we get to Musk and Trump.
But we begin tonight with a flurry of activity today at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Yeah. And yes, let not your heart be troubled. I will address the battle between President Trump and Elon Musk. I know it's of such great international importance. But first, there is fresh scrutiny surrounding Joe Biden and a hard-working auto pen. Take a look.
There's your A block of the Hannity Show, the auto pen.
Do you think there was a debate before the show? Sean, I think we really need to do Elon. No.
The auto pen.
Yeah,
do we have anything on the Hunter laptop?
How far back can we go? What Biden scandal can we get?
Not a good sign. Not a good day over at Fox. All right. So much shit happened, and we did a bunch of videos you guys have already seen, but for the pod crew, I just want to start, thanks to our friends of The Independent for doing this. We're going to do a minute-by-minute chronology of the feud, and, maybe just chime in with little thoughts as they come to you. All right, so it begins at 1:44.
Yeah.
Quote, Musk posts a slew of tweets to X, including one asking, where is this guy today? Tweeting old Trump balanced budget statements. I missed this one. He then tweeted, the big ugly bill will increase the deficit
by
$2.5 trillion. So he starts kind of dips the toe
Probably should have workshopped that.
Yeah,
that
with
one,
the big.
yeah.
I've been doing the big fugly slut.
Yeah, that's even much better than the big.
Nobody seems to get that though. Matt Iglesias didn't even laugh yesterday when I said big fugly slut. Oh, I know it's tough. Not all my material lands. All right. Then he goes on, is it time to create a new political party in America that actually represents the 80% in the middle?
This is when, in the office, I'm just going to give you the office reactions because you weren't here. We were like, how quickly is Nancy Jacobson and her label's going to call him up?
I'm like, oh, wait. Rich white man wishes that there was a big party that represented him
Heard
in the
this
middle.
Before.
I don't know. I was like, one time I did a panel at the Aspen Institute, and I had 7 straight questions from rich whites. So we're like, why aren't there any parties that represent fiscal responsibility and social moderation?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, So that wasn't Elon's best, but it escalates. Laura Loomer, 2:15, goes after Musk. Musk says, you might be making a mistake. I'm going to be around longer than Trump.
Yeah.
Then 2:37, Trump attacks from Truth Social, says Musk was wearing thin. And then, so he doesn't know what happened, but he just went crazy.
Yeah.
Same thing he said about Putin.
Oh.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Trump just has a bad read on people, I guess.
Didn't he put wearing thin in quotations, which I was kind of curious. Whose quote is that?
I don't know.
Is that
he also mentioned that he took away his EV mandate, and that's what he might be mad about.
Yeah. This is when it was getting a little bit juicy, and in the office we were like, oh my. But we weren't freaking yet.
Nobody was sitting up yet. Nobody had leaned forward yet.
But I was refreshing X a lot.
2:48. Musk, and this is the other. Did we talk about this the other day? The Musk rapid response element to this. Yeah. If this was a Trump feud versus John Thune.
You and I talked about this.
Right?
You were comparing this to Jeb. Yeah.
It was it would take 4 hours for John Thune to reply to anything. You have to get your press
clear it by
secretary
legal. Make sure we're not going to.
Musk is just fired. 11 minutes after Trump attacks him, Musk hits back. Such an obvious lie. So sad. Then things went quiet for 22 minutes. It was all silent. People were like, oh, it's an interesting little dispute.
Let me just say, at this point in the office, we were like, okay, Wow. But there we go.
Things
Like,
have
that's it.
escalated.
We're cool.
3:10 p.m.
The bomb.
Musk alleges Trump appears in the Epstein files.
Okay, this one in the office, people were screaming. Like, legit screaming. There was like a, oh my God!
Mark this post for the future. The truth will come out, Elon says.
Yeah, that was a reply to his tweet. Just for the
Files
record.
linked to the investigation of sex offender Jeffrey Epstein has emerged as a point of fixation. Oh, wait, hold on. Yeah, for Trump and his allies. Anyway, time to drop the really big bomb.
Yeah.
All right. So that was 3:10. All right. And so then almost an hour passes, and Donald Trump bleats out the easiest way to save money in our budget, billions and billions of dollars, is to terminate Elon's government subsidies and contracts. I was always surprised that Biden didn't do it. That's a good hit.
At this point, I went to the fridge and I got a soda and a little snack. Because I knew I was
Settling in now.
Well, I was like, this is going to be a long day, and I need to hydrate.
I think the Trump hit in a vacuum, pretty good. Like threatening to take the money away, good hit. Coming right after you're a pedo, I don't know, Donald. Maybe he's lost his fastball a little bit.
What would you have done?
I don't know.
You're
Fat
a pedo,
fuck.
too. Oh, you fat fuck?
Ketamine-addled
Yeah.
fat fuck.
Take away your ketamine.
Yeah.
Man.
You can't even get hard. You have to inseminate your
You're
twin
right.
wives.
You're right. Pete Trump would have gone right for the dick. Yeah.
So, okay, that was okay. Elon then replies, in light of the president's statement about cancellation of my government contracts, SpaceX will begin decommissioning its Dragon spacecraft immediately.
At this point, I got a little worried, honestly. I was like, are we going to have a government? I don't know. Okay.
That's a decent hit there. Then Trump goes on and defends the bill, the substance of the bill.
Boring.
Really boring. 411. Boy, the Musk leans in again. The Independent says he seems to agree. I would say he clearly agrees that Donald Trump should be replaced by Vice President J.D. Vance.
I think the word was yes.
Yeah, here it is. Ian Miles Chong, a Malaysian shit poster, posted, President versus Elon, who wins? My money's on Elon. Trump should be impeached, and J.D. Vance should replace him. I want to note here, Elon was not tagged in this tweet. So Elon is just like, it's like that smoking meme of Matthew McConaughey is just on X, just taking it all in. He sees this tweet where he's not tagged, quote tweets it, yes.
Yeah.
Trump should be impeached. I want to get back to that in a little bit. 426,
Okay.
Musk attacks the tariffs. Trump tariffs will cause a recession in the second half of
At this
the
point,
year.
I'm like, how much ketamine is this man on?
Musk is going to have the biggest endorphin crash in history. I was looking at my
how
phone.
many
My
ti-
endorphins
yeah.
are firing. I was like, can you imagine being Elon?
Yeah.
He's got 4 phones out. He's getting
Ain't no way
alerts
this guy's
everywhere.
sleeping tonight. How many times has he peed because of the ketamine at this point? Like 5? Yeah.
7:50. So a couple hours go by. Musk says, "Kill the bill. Call your senator. Call your congressman.
Right.
Bankrupt America is not okay." And then Musk's last post for the day is a repost that says, "This is why Republicans will likely lose the House in 26, and Democrats will spend 2 years investigating and impeaching President Trump."
Well, that was not his last post for the day. His last post of the feud. He then tried to kind of dial it back, and it was a very funny moment where there was like, speaking of being weirdly following weird accounts on Twitter, he replied to like someone with like 180 followers who's like, let's tone it down a little bit. He's like, you're right. I'm not going to decommission the Dragon. It's like, where did you find this account? Like, it wasn't even responding to you. Like, where did that come from?
I'm telling you, Elon is in the mainframe of X. Like he is he is trying to become the singularity.
Maybe
he's receiving
totally
constant.
He's got the Neuralink in his brain.
He's just getting Expos fed to him.
You imagine, I think about this every now and then, but imagine you're a Tesla board member and you're watching this and you're like, okay, is this man running our company? Like, what's he doing?
You mentioned that. It's interesting. It's kind of a
I would be
side
like,
plot.
I would be like, you need to like focus,
Yeah.
like on us.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a side plot, but the Trump, the Tesla stock was going down most of the day pretty significantly. Yeah. Weirdly, it went up when Musk accused Trump of being a pedo. I don't know if the market saw that and was like, "Ooh, Musk might have more power here than we thought in this fight." And I'm not a professional stock purchaser. This is not financial advice. But what I found that interesting because being in the White House has not really been very good for Tesla. So why did I don't know why the market reacted so negatively. Do you have thoughts on that?
Well, I think the prospect that Musk could be nuked. and
Totally nuked.
like literally nuked. I have, although I guess in theory, kind of, if you're an investor, at this point, you kind of want the guy to get gone.
Yeah, right.
Let's like focus on building cars a little bit. No, I don't try to make sense of this. This is nonsensical.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's. I mean, JVL wrote an emergency triad last night that
Yeah.
everybody should read, and one of the things that he pointed out is like, Trump does. I mean, there's a worst case scenario for Elon that's pretty bad.
Oh, yeah.
On his financially, and maybe that is the thinking here, where like he ends up in the sour spot where nobody's buying, like the libs aren't buying the
Libs ain't buying
Teslas,
Teslas.
the MAGAs aren't buying his ugly ass truck.
Trump is apparently gonna sell the one he bought, the red one.
Yeah,
that's
that was
Fox
news.
this morning. So yeah.
So that's it. There's little SpaceX stuff I want to get into, but I don't think that's my top takeaway. We'll get to that in a second. What? So you've now breathed. Did you get a good night's sleep last night? Did you take a melatonin?
Really. No, not really. I mean, it wasn't like scrolling through it or anything,
Yeah.
but I had been hopped up on it all day.
Yeah.
Not to the extent that Elon had, but
Yeah.
it was definitely pouring through my veins,
Okay.
and I was excited about it. And
So now
I
with the
had trouble
J to
sleeping.
breathe, I think that there's some people that are more excited. Bill Kristol's a downer this morning. He's feeling more like that Trump will come out of this ahead. Like, what's your global takeaway?
Bill convinced me. I gotta be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, Bill definitely convinced me. So Bill's take is that, that Trump has. I think this is Bill's word. Trump has Elon's balls or something like in a vice.
Bill Kristol said
He
that?
said Trump. Yeah, you can read it in morning shots.
Did you not edit? I just assumed that was an edited line.
No,
from
I
you.
edited it. What I edited is and he has big balls, but Bill took that out. So
Big Ball's the person.
Big Ball's the person.
Got it.
Fuck Bill. No, but Bill's convincing because I think here, I mean, it's basic. Like Trump could at any moment just say, you know what, we are going to nationalize Space Force, and by the way, we need to launch an investigation into this because we don't want someone so unstable, running these companies who's a government contractor. And like, there's plenty of government levers. And if you're sitting there being like, well, that would be really abusive of the government for Trump to do something like that, I beg you to look at what Trump's done.
Yeah.
I think Elon. Well, I don't know if Elon's rational enough to recognize that he's kind of screwed here. And Elon's cards, I think he basically played yesterday. You are a pedophile and you are in the Epstein. He threw like I don't know. Does he have a bigger haymaker than that? We don't know what we don't know. We don't know what we don't know. Yeah.
He's got some picks. I mean, we don't know. What was the black eye? Maybe Trump punched him. Who knows?
Oh, yeah.
I think there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes. We don't know exactly what he could have. And he's been sleeping at Mar-a-Lago in the White House.
That's
so,
true.
I don't know. He might have insight on Trump's private behavior that other people don't have.
That's
so
true.
I think he could have more cards. It's a compelling case that I think Trump certainly is going to win the Elon fight in the sense of like who ends up with more political power, like et cetera. Trump has a base of support, like just as we were joking earlier, the idea that some rich Silicon Valley guy is going to start a party of moderates. It's like, we tried that, buddy. It's called the Innovation Party. It's going to be Zuckerberg and Jim Van Dyke. Okay, we've been down that road.
Andrew Yang.
Andrew Yang tried it like that. So I don't think that's going to work. I think that the political base wants the MAGA culture war stuff. But I think that the threats to Trump here are also pretty real. And I know that, you might want to diminish it. And this is, maybe my critique of your old pals in the mainstream media. It's like, it's hard to contextualize this stuff appropriately because it's so crazy. And you're just like, how do I cover this? What do I do? But it's like Donald Trump's top advisor and top donor, the key man that helped him get elected, thinks that he should be impeached and removed from the presidency. Yeah. Like, that is a massive story. And I think it's...
I'm not saying it's not.
I know you don't think it is, but it's like because of like they benefit from the clownishness of this, right? You know what I mean? If this is like, let's just imagine a different world. We're like 6 months into the Biden presidency. Who would be the Elon equivalent?
Alex Soros.
No, yeah, or I was thinking somebody closer, advisor, Anita or Mike Donnellan or something.
Sure.
Yeah, sure, whoever. Some Biden advisor writes an op-ed that's like, I think that the president should be impeached and removed. He doesn't have his faculties. He's been lying to you about his health, and
he's
like,
on a pedophile's
on a
pedophile's
pedophile's list.
Yeah.
Like, I do think that the front page story of the Post the next day would be Biden's top advisor calls for impeachment and removal.
Yes.
And that didn't happen today.
Was it not on the front page? I mean, there was plenty of stories about the feud. There's plenty of stories about it. But you're right.
And it's kind of in like a catfight kind of way, right? And so anyway, I think that alone...
This is the problem, is we're so conditioned to the circus with Trump that it's like, well, it's another champions. But if you object... And this, I think I said this online the other day when this was all transpiring, which was like, I'm deeply, genuinely like entertained by all this. I'm also like really frightened by it.
Yeah,
like,
it's concerning.
It's incredibly concerning that these two men, who are incredibly the most powerful two men in the world, probably among them,
really
are so emotionally unstable, have so much potential blackmail over each other, are so distracted. Like, again, like...
Friedrich Merz was in the Lincoln bedroom while this was happening, just as a quick aside, the Chancellor of Germany.
Did you... And we could...
Like, imagine being this guy. And he's trying to have some tea.
Yeah, he's like, yo, I'm trying to, like, save Ukraine. And Trump's like, hold on. I'm going to threaten the government contracts of SpaceX. And then it's... And then, like, we didn't even... Again, the circus thing. It's like... We're not even going to talk about it. But yesterday with Merz, he was like, you must have been really upset when the Nazis lost. And I was like, holy shit. But, like, that doesn't register.
Yeah.
Anyways, my point is, there's something real underneath all the show is some really, like, obvious sirens about where we are as a society.
Yeah. No, the society's in a bad place, and so is the White House. So I guess my point is, so that's just in a vacuum. In any other world, the idea that your top advisor would say you should be impeached and removed and a pedophile is very bad for you politically. Maybe that won't help for Trump.
Trump's polls are going to go up.
You know, it's never really happened. Yeah. Karl Rove, I don't believe, ever accused George W. of being a being a pedo. So, you know, anyway. I think that also the political power, you know, this political fight between the techno-fascists and the MAGA, it's real. There's like a power struggle. Like Trump obviously has more political power in the sense of there are more voters who care about him, right? Like if there was a primary between Trump and Musk, he would win 85-15 or 90-10. But like power in the different sense, like not the direct voter sense. Like you know, obviously there's a lot of influence in Silicon Valley. It benefited Trump a lot that he had all of these. I know that it gave the Democrats this opportunity to be like oligarchs or whatever, but it also like really helped Trump that the owners of all the biggest communications platforms were sucking up to him. Right. And that these huge donors were, VCs were sucking up to him, and the crypto guys.
It was a different type of oligarch, too. It was like, these guys represent the future. They're innovation oligarchs, right? Yeah. Not old banker oligarchs, right? So it felt like a little different politically.
Yeah, and so I think it gave him some benefits, you know, just direct benefits, and like how their platforms treated him, et cetera, but also like future political opportunity for MAGA, right? This idea that like you could coalesce, you know, the Cletuses and the evangelical Christians and like the traditional Republicans, and also add in these kind of like ideological, really like tech bro like kind of crowd. Like that was an important add to the Trump coalition this time for 2016, and that definitely feels in threat right now.
So it's funny now that you're just articulating it out loud, but it's bringing me back a little bit to what Democratic politics actually used to be, which is this: you have this pretty wide tent, and usually the main players either have to sort of align themselves with the moneyed interest or the populists, and that was not always the case necessarily with Republicans, but this is the result of an expanding coalition. Yep. And so, you know, Trump's real talent has been he's managed to bridge the two. And I don't know, that might be the ultimate thing here, is like it might not be bridgeable anymore, because really it's like, you know, you have Steve Bannon basically telling Trump that he does in fact need to nationalize Space Force, and oh, by the way, maybe deport Elon Musk, like at this point. And
we're getting to that.
Yeah, and we're going to get into that. So, but that is true, and it may force these the Republican lawmakers to kind of take a side in this fight in a way that they haven't really had to choose this type of stuff before.
Yeah. A couple other, I think, top implications of where Musk has a little bit more some power. So number one is, I guess Politico, your old pals are reporting that there's going to be a call today. They're going to try to do a truce.
Yeah, but that's been kind of debunked.
Has it?
Yeah, okay. So Trump made a couple. First of all, this is fun because Trump's like calling every reporter in D.C. whose cell phone number he's had.
Who is he calling today?
So far, just that we know, he's called Bob Costa, Dana Bash, Dasha Burns, and Jonathan Karl. So at least 4 people they've talked to Trump on the phone.
Is your phone on Do Not Disturb? You might want to leave it on just in case.
Missed it. No, and in each call, he's telling every single reporter, "I'm not even thinking about Elon," which is like self-refuting. Don't worry, I'm not thinking about it. I'm just telling you, I'm not thinking
It's like
about
the guy
it.
in the banana suit. Like, we're looking for the guy.
Don't know who did it. But he's also dismissed the idea that he's going to have a phone call with Elon. So I don't think there's going to be that today.
Yeah. And I also so generally, my point was, even if they did get to a truce, which I think is possible, who knows, that they would try to, it's not really sustainable. For starter, and this I think goes to the Elon psychology. And there have been kind of two schools of thought on Elon from the start. There was one that this was a huge corruption scheme, and that he wanted, from his AI, whatever, to gather as much information as possible from the government. He wanted to expand Starlink, and he was using this to enrich himself. And there's maybe some overlap between these theories, but like that was his core intention. Then there's another theory, which is that his brain has been broken by his own app, and like the fact that his daughter was trans, and then he gets on X, and that he's doing all these drugs, and that his brain is broken. And he is just a rabid poster, and he ended up getting radicalized in MAGA, and that's why he's doing this, and he doesn't actually give a fuck about his companies or the money. And I was always more in camp 2. He just, to me, reads like somebody who's completely unstable and has lost his mind, and I know some of these people. I have some of them in my life, people who've taken the MAGA pill, rather than somebody who's like really strategically trying to manipulate the government.
Right.
And if that is right, if the theory that his brain is broken is right, he can't truce because Elon's online all day.
Right.
And so something's going to happen that like they can have a short-term truce, but then something will happen. Then
Well,
Elon
you were joking about this when you said something about posters.
Posters are going to post.
Yeah.
Elon's a poster.
Right.
Elon's going to post. And so that's
are there
this
cases of
big,
reformed posters that you know of?
Nira. Nira's the only one I can think of off the top of my head. Nira Tandon.
But she's kind of getting back
She's
in the
getting
game.
back in the game a little bit. She, for people who don't know, she was Center for American Progress, was an epic kind of Hillary poster, Neo-Lib Hillary poster, like really, really strong game, and then went to work for Biden and chilled. So maybe, but I don't think, I don't believe that Nira was doing like a ketamine meth snowball. And so it makes, I think it was easier for her to reform maybe than Elon.
You don't really know Nira then.
And so I don't see it. And this bill, and so this takes me to my second point, which is that this bill is going to continue going through.
Right.
And it's created real political problems for the bill. Does it mean that it won't pass? I don't know. But it's made it much more fraught. And you really think that Elon, who's on Twitter 20 hours a day, is going to not shitpost this bill as it continues to go through the process? Obviously, he's going to keep shitposting it.
No, and there's certain Rubicons he's crossed that you can't uncross.
Shame on you if you support this bill.
Yeah, call your lawmaker. You
Yeah.
know. But I was thinking more once you say this man's on the Epstein list, I don't think you can put that genie back in the bottle. I also think
I don't know. And the VP did say Trump might be Hitler.
That's
So
true.
it's
Okay.
possible to get the genie back in the bottle as Trump, I think.
That's true, I guess. He did. I think that it kind of got lost a little bit in this, but probably something that will bother Trump is that he claimed credit for Trump winning, and Trump does not ever want to hear something like that.
Yeah.
So, I think Trump will be aggrieved about that. I think ultimately, the effect on the bill is not that it's going to convince lawmakers to vote against it. I think, and you and I talked about this, I think what it does is it creates a bit of space for lawmakers who are already not for it to say, you know what, I kind of agree that we need to do more, and maybe we should pump the brakes a little bit, and let's get more deficit reduction here, and then...
Does Elon going so crazy make that actually harder for some of the Republicans?
Yes, there's surely, yeah, if he's totally out there.
Elon was
I don't know if I
narrow
want to be with that
focused
guy,
on the
yeah.
deficit. Maybe the Freedom Caucus guys might have been I'm with Elon, but if he's Trump is a pedophile, he should be removed from office, makes it a little harder.
I think that's right.
I mean, Elon's out there. His takes on Trump are now more extreme than any MSNBC primetime host.
Oh, yeah.
There's nobody on MSNBC primetime who has said that Trump should be removed.
If you went on MSNBC primetime and you said that, you might get Trump might go after the network.
You get a call from the boss.
Yeah, it would be bad. Yeah, it was. It's not something that normal people say.
Yeah, so Republicans, it's hard. It makes it harder for them to be with him.
But he is still rich, and he does still have the capacity to amplify X in your favor. So let's say you're just a random Freedom Caucus member who isn't in love with the bill, and you now you can now say, okay, you know what? I agree on the principles that he's talking about, and then Musk starts boosting you, and he makes you into a hero, and he throws a bunch of money behind you. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but that is a component of this legislative debate.
I think it's also, we discussed this a little bit before this all went down with Iglesias yesterday, but he is very focused on how do you raise the salience of this bill? Because his point is like, this is unpopular. So if you get to the Democrats thinking on this, like,
well, that's the
cutting
problem
taxes for the rich and cutting Medicaid is not popular. And so does just Elon talking about how awful it is make people who otherwise wouldn't even be paying attention to this, like, aware of this bill? Maybe that's helpful or harmful for the bill?
So the issue for Democrats, I think, is that what Elon doesn't like about this bill is not what they give a shit. I mean, like, they obviously don't for taxes for the rich, but he's not even talking about the tax.
Drawing attention to an unpopular thing is maybe
if Elon was like being like, it is just irresponsible for us to cut Medicaid like this,
right?
Democrats would be like, hell yeah,
right.
That's fine. But that's not what he's saying. And so it becomes a little bit of a bank shot. I think Andrew Edgar in today's Morning Shots sort of made the case, well, you can make it about like these two, men who are in a dick measuring contest are just basically trying to figure out how to
a really small ruler for that contest. I don't know, it's like one of those like preschool kid rulers. You can't get a regulation size.
Okay. It's a mom and pop podcast. Where was I going? Oh, he's just make it about them being like chaos agents who you're entrusting them to like handle your health care and your taxes, and you sort of like tie it to their general unpopularity. But I don't know. I mean, Democrats should be like, look, he thinks Trump's on the Epstein list. Investigate, and I think the oversight committee is doing that. So we'll see.
Should somebody file the Elon Musk articles of impeachment? Maybe that feels like a Jared Moskowitz.
That would be a Moskowitz. He's the one member who'd be like, yeah, that's if you want to troll, go to Moskowitz.
Or Shree.
Yeah.
What's his name? Shree, the one congressman who tried to
he already tried impeachment. Yeah, he tried impeachment. They were like, please do not do that.
It's
sir.
only Shree and Elon are the only guys out there. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm a little bit. I was in your camp yesterday on like this isn't that helpful for Democrats because he's focusing on the debt and deficit rather than the really unpopular stuff. But I don't know, man. Part of this now, I just think it trickles out into the world in a way that it wouldn't have otherwise, and that like people who do not really care.
How do they view it?
Yeah, that just they start to feel like, wait a minute. Okay, so what is this thing that they're fighting about? And it like increases the debt a ton, and it cuts taxes for rich people, and it cuts Medicaid. Like, who's for that? Like Stephen Miller is really like the only person who seems passionately for this bill that I can tell. And so I think that if you get that out into the ether more, I don't know. I think maybe it could be an opportunity for Democrats.
Opportunity is to just sow dissent in the Republican ranks, right? It's like, get the party's base upset with Trump for abandoning fiscal conservatism, and you divide the opposition, and that's your benefit. Yeah. I don't think it's like, oh, we're gonna like turn people into like staunch defenders of Medicaid because what Elon's doing. I don't think that's really what you have here.
I think it also puts a little bit of a damper on like Republicans going around talking about how great it is.
Yes, 100%.
So I think it hurts their sales pitch for
exactly.
the bill.
So that's the sow division thing. It's like if you have even like 10%, 20% of the party, it's like, actually, this bill kind of sucks. I agree with Elon.
Yeah.
Then it becomes more problematic, and then you'll start to see in the polls that the popularity of the bill goes down, and then that creates its own news cycle, and then you start seeing a little bit of snowball effect, which is why I think they're trying to rush this thing through. I mean, they cannot spare any time on this.
Okay, a couple side plots,
side
journeys.
Okay,
J.D. Vance, the vice president, who's the human that most represents the kind of the overlapping circles between the tech fascists and the MAGA fascists. Yeah, he's right in the middle of the Venn diagram, and so it's a little bit of a tricky, sticky wicket for him politically, because he's gonna stay with his patron Trump.
Yeah,
but I mean, assuming that there's an open primary in 2028, and like he's going to want the tech guys to be with him, be with him. Peter Thiel was his main patron.
Yeah.
So how does he play this? He's posted 2 posts about this. One tweet was a selfie of with him and Theo Von.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's going to do the Theo Von pod, which as soon as I saw that, my heart sank because I was like, God, this means I have to spend 2 hours watching J.D. Vance and Theo Von.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Cracking some weird jokes and laughing uncomfortably.
The other one was, President Trump has done more than any person in my lifetime to earn the trust of the movement he leads. I'm proud to stand beside him.
You notice who wasn't mentioned in that?
Elon?
No?
It was kind of limp, I thought.
Kind of. Exceedingly limp. I mean, Trump's out there being like, Elon's gone mad and crazy. Like, this guy needs to get off those drugs. And JD's just like, I like President Trump. That's pretty limp. I would expect more from my VP.
He's earned the trust of the movement. And I guess what he's trying to say is that, like, people should stick with Trump. I guess that's what he's trying to say is, like...
Again, what is that? I mean, that's like a very defensive defense of Trump. It's like, if you really... You should have said Elon's totally wrong. Trump is the man. And this is bullshit. And I'm sad that Elon's having this breakdown. Like, that would be a normal statement, but...
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it also feels like it could be said about kind of anybody.
Yeah.
It was not a very... So, the JD thing, I don't know if it will actually... Like, in the end, what will matter for JD is if this administration is a total disaster or not.
Mm-hmm.
And if he can stay in Trump's good graces.
Yeah.
And, like, that's, like, basically it. Like, those are essentially the two things that matter to him. Like, I don't think that, like, at the end of the day, if... I expect the next 3 years to be a total fucking shit show and that people will be ready to move on. I could be wrong from that.
Sure.
I've been wrong before. We'll see. But let's assume it's just normal crazy. Like, there's no big recession, bad shit happens, but, like, within the normal bounds of football, of Trumpy football.
Just every now and then the top advisor saying the
calls
president
for
should be
impeachment.
impeached. The normal bounds.
Like this, well, I mean, they stormed the Capitol last time and got reelected, so I'm just trying to assess the Trumpy bounds. And, I guess, let me rephrase it. People's lives aren't materially hurt. Like, MAGA people.
Sure.
Immigrants' lives are materially hurt. Lots of people, but MAGA people's lives aren't materially hurt. And Trump sticks with him. And Trump steps aside normally. And he runs. It's going to be very tough to beat. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, and the tech guys will know he's one of them, right? So I don't know that it's quite as sticky as it seems. Like, and I think that the play for him is pretty clear. He's got to stick with Daddy Trump. And it would have to be pretty ugly, I think, to blow back on him.
And I think the general lesson is that everything is ephemeral in Trump years, right? It's like everything that we think is like massively consequential eventually recedes into our memories. Like, 3 weeks ago we thought the Qatari airline gift was going to be a huge scandal. He just accepted the plane and we moved on. Like,
I haven't moved on.
You've moved on.
Have I?
Yeah, spiritually, I think you have. JD...
I feel really red by that because honestly, I kind of have. I don't give a fuck about the Qatari plan. I actually hope I go back to my initial take.
We were talking about how this one is going to stick.
I was not. That was not me. Fine.
I thought it was. But we were like, this one's
quote.
This one's breaking through.
That does not sound like me at all.
Either way,
not me.
fine.
Okay.
It was me.
It might have been you. It might have been
was
you
me.
on your The Weekend hit on MSNBC.
That actually was me on the weekend. So JD's just got. I think JD probably knows this too. I mean, JD was out there saying Haitians were eating dogs. So we were like, that's going to ruin it.
It's a little harder to weather the storm if Elon keeps shitposting.
It's a little harder to weather the storm if people are suffering because of your policies, including the MAGA people.
True.
If coronavirus hits and like there's 20 million unemployed overnight, that's when it's hard to, weather the storm.
Fingers crossed. All right. Hey, y'all, you've been hearing about Aretha, our little dictator roaming the streets of our neighborhood, roaming the pride lands, then just only coming to the house for food and shelter, not providing the type of love that I would think that the animal would want to provide us, given all the Smalls food that we're providing it. But that's okay, that's a cat. That's what cats are. And my kid likes it, my husband likes it, so that's good enough for me. This podcast is sponsored by Smalls. Smalls cat food is protein-packed recipes made with preservative-free ingredients you'd find in your fridge, and it's delivered right to your door. That's why Cats.com named Smalls their best overall cat food. To get 35% off plus an additional 50% off your first order, head to Smalls.com and use our promo code THEBULWARK for a limited time only. Smalls was started back in 2017 by a couple of guys, home cooking cat food in small batches for their friends. A few short years later, they've served millions of meals to cats across the U.S. So I was mentioning with Aretha, the best part about the Smalls with Aretha is since it's not a full-time animal, it's cat roams, as I mentioned. Sometimes Toulouse wants to play with it, right? And it's like, well, how can you convince a cat to come? You can't put it on a leash, right? She takes out the little Smalls treats bag and shakes them, shakes the bag. Cat comes running. It's a great treat. Cat likes it. Kid is happy. What more could you ask for? What are you waiting for? Give your cat the food they deserve. For a limited time, because you are a Bulwark podcast listener, you can get 35% off Smalls plus an additional 50% off your first order by using my code, THEBulwark. That's an additional 50% off when you head to smalls.com and use promo code THEBulwark. Again, that's promo code THEBulwark for an additional 50% off your first order plus free shipping at smalls.com. A couple other side plots. Oh, you had mentioned it earlier, but the Bannon of it.
Yeah.
There's a strange JVL Steve Bannon alliance that is developing. It makes me uncomfortable to even mention, but I want to hear Bannon, and then we'll talk about it.
For any fanboys that still exist, while you're wrapping up in your cape tonight, understand on Doge, he didn't find any fraud. There's plenty of fraud out there. This is President Trump's first complaint. Was this all BS? Right with the Doge. The act that President Trump should be taking immediately, I think, when he threatens to take one of the big programs out of SpaceX, President Trump tonight should sign an executive order calling for the Defense Production Act to be called in SpaceX and seize SpaceX tonight before midnight.
Seize SpaceX. Seize SpaceX tonight.
It didn't happen, for the record.
They did not.
No,
SpaceX was not seized. That's bold from Bannon. JVL has been calling for a while. I think even during Biden times. He'll correct me, but he did so again in the Triad, which people should go read on theBulwark.com, to nationalize SpaceX for a little bit maybe like less cheeky reasons than Bannon does. But
very much less cheeky reasons.
Very
and I think
reasons.
Elon basically proved JVL's point.
Yeah.
When he said, "Oh, I'm going to decommission the Dragon," it's like, "Oh, one man can just, decide that we're going to leave astronauts abandoned in space." Like, is that really in our national interest to have all our space policy kind of at the whims of one ketamine-infused nut job?
Good.
It's not.
Yeah, and I would maybe we need to bring in a space expert on YouTube to give me some. I would like to see some policy options put in front of me.
Right.
If President Tim was out there, because the word nationalize gets me a little.
Of course, you're conservative. You don't like it.
I get uncomfortable when I hear the word nationalize. I don't like seize. I really don't like seize. So when Bannon wants to seize
something.
How
about incorporate? Yeah. Incorporate into the government.
Yeah, I like that word, incorporate. Here's the other thing. SpaceX has done better than NASA.
Oh, yeah, Barry over here is a big proponent. He thinks it's broke through the cartel.
It's done better. That's just a fact. You don't have to like it. You have to like Elon. So I don't think that we should take our terrible shitty space program and take over
let's
Elon's
push on
successful
this,
one.
in what world?
Is there a middle ground, I guess, is what I'm looking for.
I don't know. I'm not an expert on law. If you could ideally put in, if the government had the power to put in a different CEO, I hereby declare you not CEO. I don't know.
Can we have a guy from the government in the corner office
just watching? Elon, don't touch your pillow.
And what was in the office where they put Milton down in the basement? Can we just put a Milton
with a stapler?
Can we put Milton at SpaceX and just be when big decisions happen, you got to bring Milton up?
Or you just create a Truman Show type system where Elon thinks he's running SpaceX and he's not.
I don't know. But it makes me a little uncomfortable that the War Room and the Bulwark are calling for the same thing. But JVL's arguments have been very legit and policy based for a while.
And he also adds his point is it's going to have to happen, and it's better that it happens with Donald Trump doing it than Joe Biden or whoever else is a Democrat.
Sure.
Yeah.
Bannon had some, I don't have the audio of this, but Bannon had a couple other suggestions. Bannon's never liked Elon. If anybody was, I know all the libs thought that was yesterday was your best day, was our best day, the resistance. Nobody was having a better day yesterday than Steve Bannon. He was literally a pig in shit. I mean, he was rolling around.
Dude is on NPR this morning. He's doing the rounds.
Rubbing his nipples between the three shirts. He's hated Elon for a long time, and so he loves us. And so he was chiming in.
He might have put on a fourth collared shirt. It got so hot.
He was chiming in on how Elon should maybe be deported. And there's another strange alliance. Congressman Adam Smith of Washington also suggested
Did he say that?
Democratic congressman. It's maybe a little bit over his skis. But I don't know. I do think I feel similarly to this as I do about the Epstein situation. It does seem to me to be true that Elon was an illegal immigrant in the country, and maybe DHS should look into that in the same way that it does seem to be true that Donald Trump was involved in a very deep way with Jeffrey Epstein and maybe has covered up some of his involvement, and that should be looked into. I kind of think that those are both legitimate. They're trolls and legitimate. What do you think?
I mean, do I have to respond?
Yeah, you do have to respond.
I think I'm not ready to go down these paths.
Okay. You don't think that DHS Secretary Kristi Noem should look into Elon's immigration
Okay,
history? If Susie from Missouri or whatever.
Do I think I would enjoy watching it all transpire? Yes, I would. I would go and get another, seltzer and some popcorn. I'd sit back and hit refresh on X. I think when we have the government targeting critics and deporting them, that's a problem. But maybe I'm
I'm against that too.
Yeah.
I'm against the government targeting critics and deporting them. I guess, again, I will say, though, that they've set a policy in this administration.
What's good for the goose, right?
Yeah, and their policy is basically no exceptions on immigration rules.
Does it apply to people who came here illegally but have since become citizens?
I don't know. I mean, they've been taking random ladies that have been working at diners, working in this
Next
country
thing we
for
know,
30
we're going to get a
years.
picture of Elon with MS-13 transposed on his knuckles.
knuckles.
Look, we didn't see it when he was at Doge, but it was right there.
They've been taking, they took the high school kids who are on the honor roll.
Oh, no doubt. I'm not saying they're clean. I'm just saying...
they're going through everybody's files?
Sure. I mean, yeah. Let's see if it
What
happens.
do you think about the white Afrikaners? Do you think they have anything to worry about right now?
Yeah, would he come back in through the West Africana refugee program?
My two favorite. It was a great day on the X platform. I know that makes some people uncomfortable.
Let's actually do this.
Okay.
Was yesterday? Yesterday? Obviously, was a great day on X.
Yeah.
And I might guess that it was the best day
No.
in a long time. What was your best?
The best day ever was when Trump got COVID.
That was a crazy day. That was
Trump
nutty.
getting COVID was the best day on X, or Twitter was Twitter then, and it was the
It
best
was a
day
good
by
day.
far.
Yeah, okay.
It's hard to even think of a close second, honestly. That one was so much better than everything else, but I'll have to, I'm sure.
When he was flown to Walter Reed, and we were like, oh
I have
my
a few
God.
text chains that are going to be disappointed at me, so please nominate for me some other.
Yeah, we should come back and circle back on the best days.
Okay.
on
Well,
X,
my
yeah.
two favorite posts yesterday. One was this is like the Kendrick versus Drake beef with two Drakes. I really enjoyed that. And the other one was Trump's new policy towards white Afrikaners, and it was that guy jumping around going, "Kill the boar."
There were a lot of good tweets.
Those were both good.
The meme of Trump with on the Tesla. He's like,
Yeah.
I got this before Elon went crazy. Yeah, that was pretty good.
That was good. So do you think the white Afrikaners should feel a little nervous?
Maybe. Yeah, probably. Their champion is no longer there.
Took away
All
the
those
GPS.
Doge people, are they going to be tossed?
Speaking of white Afrikaners, is David Sachs? Do we know whose
Who
side David
gets custody?
Ball Sachs is on?
David
Has he
Ball-Sachs.
posted? We have an important final segment on the Commerce Secretary that's going to be pretty good. But I have a couple other side plots.
Sure.
There's been some discussion. Is there an Elon Lib redemption arc possible? Where
man.
Elon
Yeah.
decides, to go whole hog. Never Trump. He's on this podcast by Labor Day. He says Trump's been wrong. He has always cared about the environment. He also has always cared about the debt and deficits. And he still has some concerns about the trans thing. But other than that, he pretty much has seen the error of his ways, and
And
him
he
and Bill
comes back.
Gates are going to go to Africa together.
Yeah.
Is that possible? That's fantasy, right?
Well, your podcast guest yesterday, Meta Glacius, proposed maybe, some sort of detente there.
An armistice?
Yeah, I'm a moving target here because I initially was like, of course you let him back in, the enemy, right? But then I kind of thought about it, and he is so crazy, and he's so unpopular, and he also did so much damage, just even the USAID stuff alone. It's like you can't let someone like that back in. What would it say about your moral values? It doesn't mean you can't use them strategically, and I'm assuming they will, right? They should. But, maybe if you want to take some of his cash quietly, probably you should do that. But, boy, I wouldn't be like, Elon's now one of us.
Yeah, I don't think it's possible because it goes back to my earlier point. Which
What is his popularity rating among Democrats?
It's got to be zero.
It's close, right?
Close to zero.
How do you let someone like that?
Yeah.
Actually, we like this guy. It's no, it doesn't really work
I don't
there.
think so. And the other thing is, it goes back to you have to have a theory of the case of what happened to Elon. And if your theory is mine, which is his brain has been broken by the internet,
Yeah.
he's not capable like he's deep in poster brain.
Yeah,
he's still like retweeting again, like random white nationalists.
He's too far lost. I feel like at this point.
It would be pretty funny though if he does the opposite and starts like retweeting like lib posters, like the Krasensteins.
Well,
like,
he
all of a sudden
occasionally
Elon's-
has. Yeah,
Elon's
it would be kind of
quote-tweeting
interesting.
the
He just
Krasensteins.
adjusts his own algorithm
Yeah.
and like, oh my god, he and Rokan are hanging out.
Did we miss? I'm going through to see if there are any other side plots. And I pulled up Drudge.
Oh, what did Drudge
This
say?
is a great day for Drudge.
Yeah.
I'm just going to read a couple of the headlines if you want to weigh in on any of them.
Sure.
Musk says Republicans should side with him because Trump will die first.
True.
We've got here Russia offers Musk asylum.
Did they really?
Apparently.
I didn't see that
I
one.
haven't seen that one. Let's see. Trump's hints at Musk drug use. Bannon deport Elon. We covered that.
Yeah.
That's pretty much. The Sergio Gore. There's a picture of Sergio Gore. People don't know him. He's this super dork dweeb that used to work for Rand Paul. And his picture is on Drudge right now doing the raised fist because apparently.
He started
He
this.
was like, apparently Sergio Gore started this.
So the
Which
backstory is
is the weirdest
Sergio.
thing.
Yeah.
He was like a guy that when I would go to parties in D.C. like 13 years ago, he would be like in the corner, like being very weird,
Looking
like
at his
hoping
BlackBerry.
girls could talk to him while he's looked at his BlackBerry.
Now he's like an incredible power broker in Trump's White House. Yeah, so he basically, the backstory is that he killed the NASA administrator job, and that was an Elon guy, and he did it because he showed Donald Trump that the guy had donated to Democrats, and Trump didn't like that. And then Elon flipped out over that, and that's what precipitated all this. So Sergio Gore started all this, apparently.
That is wild. All right, two other Trump-related stories before we get to the Commerce Secretary closing segment. Reagan National Airport will close.
Okay, this is fucking, I'm mad about this one. Go ahead.
Well, it will close during the president's birthday bash
Yes.
/ the military parade. We're closing down Reagan National Airport.
I'm supposed to fly out of Reagan that day.
No.
Yes. I'm supposed to go.
Oh, I thought you were pissed out about it on principle.
Oh,
you were
that
pissed
too.
out of
But
it,
personally, I'm supposed to
personal
fly.
inconvenience. You got to go to Dulles now. That's your final straw with Trump.
Yeah, how dare you send me to Dulles? No, I'm supposed to go to Fenway with my little kid for
That's
a baseball
fine.
game, and it's going to get fucked by Trump. Motherfucker.
This is just wrong. Like again, it's just wrong.
It's ridiculous. Any
fucking
other
bad.
president who would do this shit, I mean, it would be like a scandal of epic proportions. Closing the airport, $40 million on a parade that's going to tear up D.C. streets. It's nutty. It's totally insane.
He's not a fucking king. That's why they're having no kings rallies that day. People should go June 14th to.
We
one
got to
near
discuss
you.
how we're going to cover it as a site. To be
I'm
determined.
going to be in New Orleans at the protest.
Okay. Well, maybe go live.
Yeah, sure. Nobody's invited me to speak yet, but we'll see. I might just take a ball hard. My other side thing, I mentioned this before we came, and you're less excited about this than me, so maybe I'll just do it. But Trump did a bleat this morning about how Jerome Powell should cut rates again, but a very direct call for him to cut rates. That Europe's already cut, we should cut, we need to. It'll be a big boom. And this is going to a bad place, and I think that my reasoning here is that, yeah, Trump does this stuff a lot. There's a lot of bluster and all this, but he's in a pickle where with this bill and all the and the trillions that are going on the debt, like interest rates are going to be high his whole presidency. Mm-hmm. Like that's just true.
Yeah.
And so I do think that like eventually this is going to come to a head. And like these guys could cut rates a little bit, and it probably wouldn't matter that much, actually. And that gets into kind of econ dork stuff. But
yeah, and that's the reason to not cut rates is you want an arrow in the quiver, right?
Right.
When you're going to need it.
Yeah. And so I just think that like the whole and when you listen to like my buddy Joe Weisenthal and the Odd Lots, like all these econ dorks, like the worst case scenario, essentially, is like Trump getting rid of Powell, just because of how that would roil the markets and what the downstream effects would be. And I just, like, that feels to me like a little more likely today than yesterday. I guess that's all I'm saying.
Yes, maybe. I mean, he's always been deeply frustrated with Powell, and he makes it publicly known. There was a recent Supreme Court case that seemed to suggest that they would stand up the independence of the Fed, but you don't know until you don't know, right? And, like, who knows what Trump's capable of if he gets mad or if the economy goes south. I think that's what, this is... We don't appreciate this part enough, and this is what I think, even with all the Musk drama, it's like, this is the shit that's happening when things are relatively stable. right? That's the scary part for me. Is like things are not bad. I mean, if they are bad, it's because Trump made them bad himself. So it's not like, but when things do get bad, and they get bad in every presidency.
There's no really external force,
Correct.
like new, and like the Russia invasion, like some stuff happening in the
All
Middle
that
East,
stuff
was
predated
already
it. Yeah,
happening.
it all predated him. All the Liberation Day stuff was of his own making, and then he backed off of it, right? But when things do get bad, and they will because that's just how it works, like, then we don't really know what Trump is going to do and what he's capable of. And so while it seems incredibly dramatic and off the rails right now, and it is, I'm like a little bit anxious, really anxious for what happens when the external stuff.
Because things are more rickety. Like, obviously, COVID and all that was really bad. But, like, when COVID hit, and, like, that was, the big crisis of his first term, things are pretty good. I mean, like, the Trump part, the drama, the craziness, his behavior.
Yeah, I mean, he did get impeached before COVID, but that was
I just mean, like, geopolitically and economically is really what I mean.
Sure.
There were not, huge disruptions overseas or hadn't been a terrorist attack. Economically, we were pretty stable here, right?
Yeah.
Like, things are much more rickety now than then, I guess is my point. Just like the U.S. economy is way more rickety than it was in 2019. The global environment, like there are a lot more hot spots, a lot more bullshit happening than there was back then. So anyway, I'm with you. All right. I'm looking directly into the camera for the YouTube viewers. The final segment. The Commerce Secretary was over on the Hill this week, and I want to play a couple clips from it. You know that he's my favorite member of the cabinet.
Is he?
Well, in some ways. We'll talk about that. And before I name him, I want to go to Senator Jerry Moran from. You forget Senator Jerry Moran exists, by the way.
There's way more forgettable.
There are these
senators,
whole category of Republican senators from the before times who just don't want you to remember that they exist.
Name both senators from Idaho.
Risch and Crapo.
Oh, damn, dude, you're good.
Of course. I'm a fucking professional political podcast host. Okay. All right. The senator from Kansas addressing the Commerce Secretary.
Secretary Lutnick, thank you for your testimony today. I look forward to working closely with you and throughout the appropriations process to provide the right level of federal resources to support the Department of Commerce and its agencies.
He does it twice. Nutlick. Senator Nutlick. I got to tell you, Commerce Secretary Nutlick, I got to tell you, Sam, it has been extremely challenging for me to not say Nutlick on MSNBC. And I have to sit there when I'm on Deadline White House.
Have you slipped?
No, I haven't yet.
Okay.
But when, I think it was earlier this week that Nicole started playing some clips and I'm sitting in the chair and I'm just in my head, I'm going, Lutnick, don't do Nutlick. Lutnick. I have to talk to myself in my brain to make sure I don't call him Howard Nutlick on MSNBC. I think Jerry Moran's giving me some cover, though, now, is what I'm saying. So it might be happening.
It's free game.
I think it might be happening.
Oh, my God.
All right, I want to play a couple of the other clips of Nutlick on the Hill. It was an exchange between him and my senator from Louisiana, John Kennedy, and another exchange with Madeline Dean, Congresswoman from Pennsylvania.
If Vietnam, for example, came to you tomorrow and said, okay, Mr. Secretary, you win. We're going to remove all tariffs and all trade barriers. Would the United States please do the same? Would you accept that deal?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That would be the silliest thing we could do.
Why?
What's the tariff on bananas? Americans, by the way, love bananas. We buy billions of them a year. I love bananas. What's the tariff on bananas?
The tariff on bananas would be representative of the countries that produce them.
And what's that tariff?
Generally 10%.
Correct, 10%. Walmart has already increased the cost of bananas by 8%.
There's no uncertainty if you build in America and you produce your product in America, there will be no tariff.
We can't
So the
produce
concept
bananas in
of
America.
building in America and paying no tariff
We cannot-
is very, very clear.
We cannot
Fighting for
build
imports
bananas in
is not the
America.
This man ran Cantor Fitzgerald. Howard Nutlick. What is happening? He wants us to build banana groves? Where?
I don't think he knows what he's talking about, but I think he does. His belief is that if he can do it with enough infectious enthusiasm, he'll just bullshit his way through it. It's really amazing. The banana thing is too funny, and yes, I know you love bananas, but
Banana daiquiris really are my favorite.
my dad is I don't think anyone loves bananas more than my dad.
Really?
Can I tell you something? My dad has had a banana every morning with his cereal for every day for like
No.
some of the. No, we calculated once.
Does he cut it up and put it in the
Cut
cereal?
it up, slice it in the cereal. And this is no joke. We calculated this once. We discovered that if you do the math, he's had something like 17,000 bananas over the course of his
What's
life.
your dad's first name?
Steven?
Steven Stein?
Yeah.
Just every morning gets out his little knife, just cuts through. Does he like them green or brown?
Oh, that's a good question. Whenever he comes to see me in
Yeah.
D.C., he's always calling me up. He's like, get me the bananas. Buy me them where they're still green, but they're starting to turn yellow.
Okay.
He likes them a very specific.
Me and Steve, same. That's how I like my
I
bananas
like
as well.
mine. I like mine overripe a little bit.
Oh no, I like closer to green.
Oh, no, too much.
I want totally ripe for the daiquiri because you want it nice and sweet.
Yeah,
for the
yeah,
daiquiri.
yeah. You
But
want
if
the
I'm gonna-
sugary ripeness, yeah.
Yeah, if I'm going to eat a banana whole, I want it greenish.
17,000 bananas is a lot of bananas. I think that's just too
Think
much.
about how much like you would have lost in your inheritance if he was paying 8% more on a banana
I know.
every day for 7.
That's why we got to grow bananas in America.
The one other thing I want to talk about that Nutlick exchange was John Kennedy, who's a fucking moron, and
Yeah, but he got him there.
yeah, he got
him
okay.
there.
So this is my point. There are two kinds of stupid
Yeah.
in this world. There's Howard Lutnick stupid.
He goes, hey!
It's like, oh, I don't even know. What are we gonna do? No
Of
deal.
course not. No
Give us
deal.
a zero. But then there's Kennedy, who like thinks he's smart and
Yeah.
he thinks he's making this point that it's like, hey, why don't you guys try to get it down to zero? I'm a free trader. We're the free trade party. Remember, he's trying to nudge.
See,
Nutlick.
I read it a little differently. But go
Okay,
ahead.
but I think that he's trying. By his own words later, he says, "I'm trying to nudge them towards my policy goals," and it's like, bro, you signed up for this.
Yeah.
They want the tariffs. Making a pure free trade argument against Nutlick is not going to convince anybody.
No.
Trump is not going to be convinced by that, and he has still bought. These guys, the free market, the Wall Street Journal, Republican types, have convinced themselves that Trump is one of them, and that there's there's a deal coming on the back end that's going to be good for the economy. It's like, no, this is the guy that bankrupted the casinos. He loves the word tariff.
Right.
That's what's happening, and Kennedy has fooled himself, I think, into thinking that this is going to work.
Well, maybe. I think he was just trying to expose the ridiculousness of their arguments, right? And he's like, if you guys really believe in reciprocity, then surely you would believe in reciprocity. And Lutnick's like, no, never, no way. So, yeah, I mean, they're both a little bit delusional in their own separate ways.
Yeah.
And I guess to your point, now that Musk is gone, I mean, he doesn't like the tariffs too. You now basically have, Peter Navarro, Lutnick, who is just going to do whatever the hell Trump tells him to do, and Trump and Vance basically making policy. And it's just like, this is, the guardrails for the free trade crowd are not there anymore.
Like Elon was a guardrail?
Well, to a degree, yeah.
Whew. All right. That's a good podcast. Did you have any smokes yesterday? Were you riding
wish.
so high that you felt like...
Kind of needed one at the end of it.
All right. Any final thoughts for the people? Taking them into the weekend?
I don't know. Good luck. It's rough out there. I'm excited to see what drama comes today, but then I step back and I'm like, we're living through something really dark.
Yeah, let's close with that because there's this little person inside me, my little Jiminy Cricket.
He still exists.
Dude, he's getting
Not dead?
He's louder and louder every year as I get older. I'm getting soft. And yesterday, Jiminy was cricketing in my ear, and he's like, you shouldn't enjoy this as much. Things are still really bad.
No.
Trump's still going to be president for 3.5 years. Blah, blah, blah. And I kept muzzling Jiminy.
Shut up,
being
Jiminy.
like, shut the fuck up.
Let me have a little joy. Yeah.
Let us have a little joy. And so I would like to tell the listeners to do that. Enjoy
Oh,
it.
no, and we do that a lot. You and I
Enjoy it.
especially. We laugh at it, and it's good to laugh. I
Yeah.
think it's important to laugh, and it's important to say, what the fuck, this is ridiculous. And that's fine. I'm not saying you should feel bad doing that. And then I sit back and I'm like, these guys are running shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also important to protest, and that's why we'll be doing that today.
Hey, good luck tonight.
Thank you.
I'm excited for
It's
it.
going to be rowdy.
I'm nervous.
Yeah, you should be. Me and John Lovett with Longwell. I think that we'll be posting that either on the Love It or Leave It feed or right here. People can check it out. Maybe bits on both. And it might be NC-17, I guess is all I'm going to say.
can't wait.
Might
I'll be in the
NC-17.
crowd.
There'll be some very serious parts, and then there'll be some parts that are a little yucky for people. So enjoy. Everybody else, we'll see you back here Monday. We're working on the schedule. We might have a little change of sched. It might not be Bill Kristol Monday. It might be. So, I don't want to leave you on your toes this weekend. Enjoy the feud. We'll see you back here Monday. Peace.